All right, hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today is day 31, the last day of Mixed Media March 25. That is the challenge hosted by Ceri Griffiths here on YouTube. That is Ceri the Crafter, and he will be linked below in the description box, along with the two lovely ladies that I split this challenge with. That is Dawn from For Grace Creations and Margie from Margie's Crafty Corner. So as you may be able to tell, I'm doing a voiceover today, and that is because this project took me a very long time, and if I tried to walk you through all of it, it would be a ridiculously long video. So I'm going to have this on a sped up version for you guys and just kind of let you know what I'm doing. I want to use a couple of gel prints for the background here, and basically what I want to go for is kind of a landscape scene. So first I'm looking for colors that I might want to use for the sky. I'm going to put in some mountains, so some colors for the mountains, and then something for the foreground. And I'm just kind of deciding what colors I think look well together, and then I'm going to start attaching this to this wooden board. And this is just a cheap wooden canvas panel that I got at the dollar store. I did go ahead and gesso it quickly before I started on this project. And I'm just going to use the same gel medium that I've been using throughout to go ahead and layer these out once I've decided what I wanted. I did set the pinks, purples, and greens to the side because I figured I'd want to use those for some flowers we're going to add a little bit later. I also decided to use this paper doily to give kind of a faux look, faux sun look to the sky. I'm not 100% sure how well that's going to come across once the project's completed, but I thought it might be a fun thing to do. So I went ahead and added that. And then all I'm going to do is wait for this to dry a little bit, and then I'm going to take those papers and wrap them around the edges just to give it a little bit of a cleaner look. Okay, so now that that is all done and wrapped, I cleaned up the edges, and I'm going to just use a little bit of white gesso to help blend those mountain kind of shapes into the background a little bit, make it a little bit softer, so it kind of looks kind of misty. So I'll just do a few layers of that, taking time to dry it a little bit in between. Gesso is kind of translucent, so it won't completely cover all in one, but I'm going to go ahead and do that, wrap around the sides as well, just to, keep it cohesive. And then I decided I wanted to add a couple of the prepared stamped tissue papers that I used. So I'm putting a little bit of a gold one into the center of this kind of sun thing that we have going on. I honestly have no idea if this is going to even show up at the end. And then I'm going to use some of the numbers that I'd stamped out with black acrylic ink, and I'm going to go ahead and attach those into that more white background area. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and then I need to take about 24 to 48 hours to allow some watercolor ground to dry. So I want to get some watercolor effects going on in the background and foreground areas. So I'm going to use 2 layers of this watercolor ground. I'm going to let those dry, and then I will be back with you guys. Okay, so it is 48 hours later. That watercolor ground has completely dried. In the meantime, I did go ahead and cut up some leaves and petal shapes from some of those gel prints that I set to the side earlier, just to go ahead and have them ready. And really quick before I start the watercolor, I decided I wanted a little more texture in the background. So I'm not going to use any more of the tissue paper. I'm just going to use the same stamps that I used along with some archival ink, since that will not react to the watercolor, just to give a little bit more texture in the background. And once that's done, it is time to start on the watercolors. So I want to mix up kind of a bluish tinted black here. I used some indigo as well as a little bit of brown. I don't remember exactly which brown I used. But just to get kind of a really dark blue, almost black. And I'm going to come across the bottom of those mountains, just really watery. I don't want to add too much of this or anything, but I do want it to be a little bit grungy. So you'll see me tip it and try to get some streaks to run down just to give a little bit of that effect. And right now I'm not going to worry about the sides. I will touch up all the sides and everything later. I just want to work on the front here. So when I'm happy with that, I also want to add kind of like a skyline, like skyscraper scene behind that, or in front of it, I suppose, because it is more towards the foreground. And I'm just going to use a mix of that same black that I had put together, along with some magenta-y purple and some regular purple as well, just to give a little bit of variant. And I'm going to have those run down the side as well, just to kind of keep it cohesive. And at this point in time, I'm not terribly worried about the lines being super straight or anything. I'm kind of just trying to get a little bit more of a layout idea for where I want the things to be. I'm going to go in later and get some more clean lines and a little more saturation of color and stuff in these once I have a better layout with the next element that we're going to add. Okay, so now it is time to start working on one of our focal elements. And I prepared this on my iPad. I'm not great at drawing people, so I needed to have some maneuverability with the iPad to be able to draw out this face. I printed that out and then just backed it with some tracing paper so that I can, or not tracing paper, what's it called? Transfer paper, so that I could sketch out the design onto this background to give myself a little bit of guidance here. And I start off with using my Faber-Castell graphite watercolor pencils, but I'm going to pretty quickly realize that's not going to get as dark as I want it to. So I'm going to actually switch over to the Dr. P.H. Martin's matte black acrylic ink. And I will just kind of play around with tones. If you add, water to the acrylic ink, it will get lighter like a watercolor, while at the same time being more permanent because it's an acrylic, so it won't be reactivated by the water. And I'm just going to play around with that for a little bit until I get it to a place I'm pretty happy with. And then I'm actually going to have to finish this part off screen because y'all would just be staring at the back of my head because I need to get a little closer to be able to see the details of what I'm doing. And I can't exactly do that while recording, again, unless you wanted to stare at the back of my head. So really quickly off screen, I am going to finish up this illustration of the face, and I'm going to do that finishing touches on the buildings as well. So I also added a little bit of Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, which is a very opaque watercolor that I used to just bring back some of the highlights on the face. I add a little bit of that purple as like an eyeshadow and lipstick color, and then I'm actually using a gold acrylic ink to fill in the eye. And so, yeah, once all of that's done, I will be right back with you guys. Okay, so now you can see how that looks with a little bit more definition in there. And now what I want to do is I want to take some of those petals and leaves that I had previously cut up from some of the gel prints, and I want to add a couple of flowers here. I'm just going to show you one of them really quickly because it's really hard actually to see how I'm doing it because my hand's kind of just in the way the whole time. But I'm just going to play around a little bit with the colors and layouts and get some flowers put down on this. So to attach these, I'm actually just going to use my Barely Art glue because I am going to do a high gloss varnish on all of this at the end. That will also help things stick in place. And then I use these little gemstone stickers. I got these off of Amazon, I want to say a couple years ago, and I just want to use those to do the center of the flowers. Okay, so I have the gel print flowers down along with the little stickers. I'm going to add, just for some more dimension, some of these Tim Holtz flowers. I'm going to dye them just a little bit with some watercolor that was left over on my palette to keep it in the same kind of color family. Dry those off really quickly, and I'm going to attach them the exact same way. So just Barely Art glue, and then the little gemstone stickers. I just wanted to add even more texture to this and have it be even a little bit more fun. So yeah, that's what I did. I will give that a little bit more time to dry, and then I decided I wanted just a little more contrast in the buildings. I wasn't 100% sure they were coming across as like a skyline. So just using one of my white Posca markers, I added a couple of dots just to make it look like some of the lights in the buildings were shining. And then we quickly need to add the signature and the number for the last day of March. And I'm also going to use my acrylic markers for that as well. And of course, I felt like I needed a little more shine as well. So I am just going to use some gold luster wax to go around the edges of the panel, kind of frame it out a little bit. And yeah, that's going to be it for the project today. All right, everybody, that is going to be it for today. I really enjoy how this turned out. I am going to put a high gloss varnish over this that will keep all of these little bits and pieces down, but it's really hard to show that after the gloss is on there because the lights just want to reflect right off of it. So I'm going to give you a little close-up here. Did finish off those sides. And yeah, this was so super fun. I absolutely love the way it turned out. If you guys took part in Mixed Media March, leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite part about it was. Mine was definitely finding this watercolor ground super, super fun. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget, next week is my week off for the year. And I will be doing a redo of my studio, maybe a studio vlog for you guys if I have the time. And yeah, I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.